Well, hello, folks. Welcome back to American Songster Radio. I'm Dom Flemings, the American Songster, and we're in for a real treat this time on the program because we have, from the Blind Boys of Alabama, we have Ricky McKinney with us. Ricky, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Don. It's good to be here.
Yeah, man, and we're catching you right off of a brand new accolade, a win for Roots Gospel album for Echoes of the South with the Blind Boys. Congratulations on that one.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I guess just for the folks at home, how was your trip out to LA, and what was your experience at the Grammys like this time around?
Well, LA was interesting. It was raining quite quite hard, but it was raining on the outside, but things were clear on the inside, so we had a good time. But one thing about the last time we were in LA, we were nominated for a Grammy, and this time we walked away with a Grammy, so that made the difference. But we still saw a lot of our friends we hadn't seen in a long time, so it was a great time in LA.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really wonderful. Yeah, and it was great to see you all together and just being able to see you get on stage there and take home that wonderful Grammy there. It was really something. I was so proud to see that you guys got that there because the Echoes of the South album is absolutely wonderful. And yeah, in many ways it seems like it calls back to some of the early roots of the group there. Was that something that you all wanted to actively pursue, I guess, a callback to the early days of the Blind Boys of Alabama? Was that something you all were trying to do actively?
Yes, we've been talking about doing a Back to the Roots record for a long time. So finally, we had an opportunity to sing some of the songs that we were singing back in the day, and we were glad to be able to come together and have some of the best musicians ever there. And the producers did a wonderful job, but we have been talking about it, so it was good to sing some of those songs that we hadn't sung in a long time.
Oh, that's great. Well, you're the oldest member of the group that's traveling on the road. How long have you been with the group now?
Well, I've been to Blind Boys for about 36 years as we speak, and but I've been traveling with the Blind Boys on and off uh, at least 40, 45 years. I was for another group out of Texas, but I still play for the Blind Boys on many, many tours.
Oh, amazing. And I guess I would love to maybe ask you a little bit about well, how did you get involved with the Blind Boys? And then also what's something that it seems like a group of deep solidarity between all of you all, even with the very much the way that you all hold each other's shoulders as you walk along. Is what is it about the Blind Boys that brought you in, and then what's something about the group that keeps you there for all this time? I mean, it must be a very tight group.
Well, in the beginning, I met Clarence Fountain when I was about 4 years old. And my mother, she was a gospel singer. Her name was Sarah McKinney Shivers, and she sang with Jay Martin singers. So she had an opportunity to be on a lot of concerts along with Clarence. And I met Clarence and all the Blind Boys. And so what happened throughout the years, I had an opportunity to play with Clarence Fountain and the Blind Boys. And I also played with Clarence somewhat on his when he was doing solo. And Billy Bowers was one of my best friends. He was in the Blind Boys, and we worked together, and we were like someone like a family. I knew George and Jimmy and Alice and Johnny Fields, and Johnny Fields and I had a real close relationship. Uh, right before his son passed away, we had done um, jazz, BET Jazz. And that day he was asking me, he said, Ricky, what would you think about it if I asked you to be my son? And I said, Johnny, that would be a privilege to be called your son. And
Mhm.
got back to the hotel, found out that his biological son, Keith, had passed away. So it was just some kind of timing, but I was glad to be there for him to lean on as well as his family, Miss Matterfield and all the rest of them. But Clarence and I, we know we went back a long way. Um, I used to drive with Clarence when he was doing this solo career. Clarence was an extraordinary guy. He was one of the only guys I know that was on the road that had his own chauffeur. Clarence had his own chauffeur, and
Mm.
he had a brother that worked for GM, so he had a new car just about every 2 or 3 years. So Clarence was a great guy. He was a great singer and group leader, and we just happened to just hit it real good at the beginning. And I was playing here in Atlanta. I had my own group, the Ricky McKinney Singers, and we were doing somewhat the kind of same kind of things that Blind Boys were doing, but on a different scale. And Clarence called me up. I was playing for, I know you heard of Thomas A. Dorsey.
Mm.
His nephew had a church here called the Greater Mount Calvary Baptist Church.
Mm.
And I was playing for Greater Mount Calvary Baptist Church when Clarence called me and asked me if I wanted to go to Australia. And I said, yeah, man. He said, you got a passport? I said, sure I do. So we talked about it, and I went with the Blind Boys to Australia and continued to play with them for a little while. And next thing I know, I was a member of the Blind Boys of Alabama. That's the way it all got started.
Wow, that's amazing. It all happened down under in Australia. That's amazing. Well, maybe if just for the folks at home that may not be familiar with the Blind Boys of Alabama's roots, could you maybe speak a little bit about where they fit in the context of quartet singing and in sort of the broad spectrum? Of course, you mentioned Thomas A. Dorsey, of course, and then there are older groups such as like the Golden Gate Quartet and groups like, I guess, like I'll say like the Swan Silvertones or something like that. Where do the Blind Boys of Alabama fit sort of in the spectrum of quartet groups of the early 20th century? And then maybe we could talk a little bit about where they fit in the more modern context in the 21st century. But let's maybe talk about those early roots there. How do they fit into that big spectrum?
Well, the Blind Boys of Alabama, they came from the Talladega Institute for the Blind in Talladega, Alabama. They got started in 1939, but they were called the Happy Land Jubilee Singers then.
Mm.
But their favorite group was the Golden Gate Quartet, and they sang Jubilee, and they used to listen to them every week on the radio. So in 1944, the Blind Boys decided to hit the road. They hit the road, and in 1944, it was a group out of Mississippi called the Jackson Harmoniers, and the Blind Boys, of course, were the Happy Land Jubilee Singers. But that was a promoter at that time named Ronnie Williams in New Jersey. He said, I'm going to have a concert. He said, but I want to have the Blind Boys of Alabama versus the Blind Boys from Mississippi. And that's where it all got started. That's when they became the Blind Boys of Alabama. But at that time, Sam Cooke, the Nightingales, and the Pilgrim Travelers, and Swan Silvertone, all these groups were traveling. So by being traveling, they all come together, decide they'll put together a what they would call back then would be a package. So they put together a package, and the Blind Boys were part of that package, and that's where they fit in with all the rest of the groups. They started traveling with the groups, and they became a part of what was known in that era as the quartet area.
Mm. Wow, amazing. And I was reading a little bit of the forthcoming book from Preston Lauterbach, and I was drawn to sort of this sort of idea and concept that he brings out into the forefront about the gospel highway. And I thought it was really brilliant how he described this whole circuit of churches and congregation members and all of these different people who help bring these traveling gospel programs from one one place to the other and help all these wonderful performers come down the road. Would you be able to describe that just a little bit? Because I'm sure folks would be fascinated to know more about how there's such a supportive community that has helped all these different performers over the years.
Right. When you speak of the gospel highway, it's just people loving one another. People love gospel singing and quartet singers, and what would happen was I first started traveling when I was 17 years old with a group out of Atlanta called the Soul Searchers. And what would happen, they would meet up with the Blind Boys and the Soul Stirrers, and they would have a package. And sometimes we would go into cities and they wouldn't have a hotel designed for Black gospel singers or for Black people in general. So a lot of the ladies would come and say, and their friends would say, would you come and stay with us? You know, we would go and stay with them overnight, and they would cook these great dinners and for the Blind Boys and for the groups. And we would eat well and sleep well, and we had a good time. And then we would just, caravan. It was like a gospel caravan going down the road. And we would get together and that would make it happen. Just friendship, meeting up with these different quartets. And even at that time, they didn't mind singing with one another. If somebody had somebody out of the group one night, they didn't mind joining in and singing, with the group. I've seen the Blind Boys from the Blind Boys of Alabama and the Blind Boys of Mississippi join in with one another and sing. And I've seen this Soul Stirrers and one of the greatest gospel singers ever lived, Reverend Julius Cheeks. He was with the Nightingales, and he was sung with the Soul Stirrers and the Mighty Clouds of Joy. They were a great group in the Val there. So I had the opportunity to be there to see all this happen, to be there when we had to put our money together to sometimes to come up with enough money to eat or to get some gas. Or sometimes your van might break down, but we were right there together coming down that gospel highway.
That's amazing. Are there any particular collaborations that stick out in your mind as something that you treasure, that you got to hear along the way? Is there any particular collaborations that really just are in the forefront of your mind of those days back then?
Yeah, the Blind Boys from Alabama, lead singer was Clarence Fountain. And the Blind Boys from Mississippi, lead singer was Archie Brown Lee. And one night we were in a concert and they were singing a song about mother, and Clarence was on one side of the room, and they were working their way of the stage, and they were working their way toward one another, Archie Brown Lee and Clarence Fountain, and they were like reaching out, like they were feeling for one another. And they were singing a song, the Blind Boys song about, I can see everybody's mother, but I can't see mine. And when their hand finally joined hands in the middle of the stage, it was just pandemonium. The people just crowd went crazy. It was very outstanding.
Wow. I mean, that sounds like an amazing night. I really wish I could have been there for that one. It sounds
I
like
tell you, that was a time that, a lot of people, they talk about it, but to see it is a whole different story. Just to see how Joe Lagun of the Mighty Clouds of Joy would come out, and Robert Blair, who was with the fantastic violinaires, and they'd be singing a song like I Came to Jesus, and the people would be just dancing everywhere. And sometimes people got so happy, they would just fall out. See, people don't realize they would, sometimes the spirit got so high, I've seen it got so high that people just pass out. They had to call the ambulance to come and take them to the hospital. It was a lot going on. I tell you, the spirit was high. They weren't playing church, they were having church.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think is so amazing still with the Blind Boys of Alabama to this day, that you all are still committed to sacred music, and that even to this day, material wise, you don't tend to have many songs on secular themes and things like that. I've noticed that you've all stayed very committed to that. Is that something that you all have consciously tried to keep within the group and make sure that that stays um, um, very pure within the the group and how you all present the music?
Yeah, the Blind Boys of Alabama are a gospel group, and
Hmm.
we try to let you know that no matter what song we may sing, the words, you listen to the words of the song are pure, and they have some words that you can hold on to something. And we try to keep it so that uh, we don't want to go too far to the left, and we don't want to go too far to the right. We're not preaching to you, we're singing to you. And during our concerts, we might sing a song like uh, People Get Ready, and then end up with a song, Look Where It Brought Me From. So we sing songs that touch people from all walks of life. And we learned that the Bible says, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men. So
Hmm.
that's what's happening today. We stay close to what we're doing. We love the Lord and love singing gospel music because this is all we know. A lot of us were brought up in the church, and so it makes a difference. It makes a difference, and we like to know that people can still feel something and walk away with something from a Blind Boys concert. When somebody come to you and tell you that uh, I wasn't feeling good today, I started not to come, but I'm so happy that I came to the concert. It makes me feel good. Some people tell you that I can't tell you that I'm a big Christian, but I can tell you that during this concert, I did feel something that I want to feel again. So that's a good thing.
Oh, that's wonderful, and I love that that the Blind Boys are still bringing that wonderful message forward into the 21st century. Yeah, with I mean, there's so many different things. I'd love to ask you about some of the collaborations you all have done over the years, but there are so many listed off. I'm not even sure which one to begin with. Is there a particular uh, collaboration that you've done over the years that sticks out in your mind in recent years? I mean, you got everything from, I mean, there's Solomon Burke and Bonnie Raitt and Dr. John. There's the wonderful album you did with Ben Harper. I mean, even the Christmas record you did with Taj Mahal. There's Bela Fleck, Willie Watson. I mean, there's so many of them. But is there any of the recent collaborations that have that stick out in your mind as being uh, a memorable one?
Well, being there doing all that, all the collaborations, I happened to be there doing all those things, but we enjoyed each and every one of them, and all of them brought something different to the Blind Boys. Ben Harper, we enjoyed him. We started out when we did the Ben Harper record. We were going to do a couple of songs and then just do a couple of songs. We ended up doing a whole CD. So we thank Ben Harper for what he did. And then Taj Mahal, we ended up with him doing a Christmas record. It was good. Uh, uh, and then, you would just look back over your life. Got to be real good friends with my friend out of Mac, Dr. Chung. He was a great guy. Enjoyed working with him and just so many people. You go and people we've been knowing a long time, like Mavis Staples
Uh-huh.
and just so many. Bonnie Raitt, we did a great song with her, When the Spell Is Broken, and we just enjoy singing music. I tell you, it was Solomon Burke. Great guy, Solomon Burke. Solomon Burke would come every time he saw the Blind Boys. He loved to eat, and the Blind Boys loved to eat. So every time he saw the Blind Boys, he would have potato pie and some collard greens. That's some cornbread. And I said, now, Solomon said, now, what? He said, yeah, man, I got a potato pie. And somebody come up and he had potato pie, some collard greens, and some cornbread, and we would always eat good when we were at Solomon Burke. He sang good, he ate good, and he's one of the ones that we're gonna really miss. We're gonna miss them all, but a lot of them are still here, and our doors are still open. So, but that's just some of the memories we had. We had with everybody, it was something different.
Oh, that's wonderful. And Yeah, that's so amazing that you all have not only persevered, but you've also reached into so many parts of the American musical landscape. I mean, it is just I mean, going through all of the just through my notes of trying to see what to talk about in our conversation, it was just a joy to see all the different things that you all have gotten the chance to do over the years. I mean, just really very admirable and you know, with you mentioning that you love to sing, I'd imagine, are there do you all when it comes to rehearsing singing, is this something that you all are doing when you're traveling in the car? Is this it, are you all taking a you know, do you all rent a little hall out, or is there a certain place that you all go to do your rehearsing? What's a rehearsal seem like as well? Because I'd imagine with such joy in singing, I mean, I imagine that singing comes up quite a bit on the day to day.
Well, you know, Clarence and Jimmy and George used to sing all the time. They just be sitting around, they go to singing about something. It's a little bit different today. We'll sing when we're riding down the highway. Joey, who is the music director, Joey Williams, he might send us a song and say, we need to learn this song. And we'll, you know, learn our parts while we're riding down the highway, and then we'll pull it together. But mainly, the main time when we really rehearse is when it comes time to do the Christmas tour. We'll rent a hall, go in and rehearse all the songs that we're going to do for the Christmas tour. But we work so much during the year that we pretty much know the song that we're going to do. We add one or two every once in a while to the repertoire that we're singing, but uh, sing so much that we already know we're going to sing, and then a new song, we add them in. But that Christmas tour, that's when we really come together and have a rehearsal and rent a hall and rehearse on the Christmas songs.
Oh, awesome. I guess I should mention, as with you mentioning, with speaking of a hall, I got to thinking about, I got a message from uh, from your manager, Jeff D'Elia, about a brand new uh, PBS broadcast that's coming out, or I guess it's going to be coming out soon, where you all were singing with the symphony, and along with the 300 person choir. I mean, what was that like?
Well, you know, the blind boys are always doing something, and that's the good part. God has allowed us to do a whole lot of things. We've really been blessed and fortunate to be able to. But Henry Panion, Dr. Henry Panion, he's the conductor of the Alabama Symphony Orchestra down in Birmingham, and he came together. He said, you know, I think I want to do something different. I want to take a quartet and the orchestra, get the music, write the music, get the choir, and get the group, and make it happen. And so that's what we did. He called us all together. He talked to he first started out talking to Charles Drevey, who's our manager, and Jeff, he's our new manager. They came together, and along with the Blind Boys, we had some concerts with the orchestra and the choir, and it turned out quite well. So uh, Dr. Pena talked to PBS about it, let them see the footage, and push the theme of it in. And here we are today. You can see it on PBS stations. Check your channels and for PBS, and you'll see the Blind Boys and Dr. Henry Panion and the Alabama Symphony Orchestra doing what we do, singing music, playing music, having a good time.
Well, I can't wait to check it out. It sounds like a very exhilarating performance, and there's also some interviews on it as well, telling a little bit of the roots of the group as well. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. And maybe to bring it back to the Echoes of the South album just for a little bit, the Echoes of the South title, that has a certain significance to the group, doesn't it?
Right. Echoes of the South is the name of the first radio program that the Blind Boys appeared on in Birmingham. And I tell you, it was it was what made them want to get out there and do what they do. Yeah, Echoes of the South. That was it.
Oh, amazing. And I guess I should ask, what is it about Alabama that has that has brought such amazing quartet singing out there. I mean, it seems like there's such a strong singing tradition that's come out of the area. Is there anything you think that that is a cause for that?
Well, a lot going on back in the day, a lot of political things going on, and then people were just trying to come together. Black music, gospel music was one of the things that kept us together. It goes all the way back to in the cotton fields, and it worked its way up to where it is today. It's a feeling that people can feel. It's just like the blues. The blues and gospel go hand in hand.
Mhm.
And so, what really that album, it's a lot of great music on the album, and we've seen some of our old songs, like we said before, but it's all about um, coming together. That's what gospel music is about. If you're feeling sad, sing a song that'll make you feel better.
Yeah, and on this album there are a lot of really great songs that'll make you feel great. I mean, there's that wonderful track "Friendship" on there, which is about lifting up your fellow man and being able to get together through friendship. And then of course there are some songs where you all are really tearing it down, where you got Jimmy Carter singing on "Send It On Down," which is one that is bound to get people tapping their toes and moving their feet and getting the spirit. And then, of course, there are ones like "Jesus, You've Been Good to Me" from the late Paul Beasley. I'm so glad that you all were able to record that one before his passing. I believe he passed a little bit after the session.
He did. I've been on Paul for over 50 years. We sang together for about 50 years. I was with Paul Beasley when he was singing with a group out of Texas called the Gospel Keynotes when we first recorded that song. And it was a big hit back in 1975, same year I lost my sight. And so me and Paul, we've been together a long time. And when he began to lose his sight, uh, I said, Paul, I said, man, I said, I heard you were having a problem with your eyes, man. I said, I told you, boy, I'll always have a place for you, man, because we did a lot of things together, as well as with my own group. But then I said, tell you what, man, I said, come on, go with me in the blind board. He said, for real? I said, man, come on, doc. And so he came over to the blind boards and he fit in with the blind board because we already knew one another from times past and gone. Paul was a legend in his own time. He was all to imitate it, never duplicated. And we were glad to have him with the blind boy. So when he first started talking about singing, Jesus, you've been good to me, I said, wait a minute, Paul. I said, now, we already sung Jesus, you've been good to me with the keynotes. I said, now, what do you think? He said, let's do it again. So we did it again. But Paul it was a extraordinary singer. He took that song and did it in a blind boy style. It's
Mm.
got same words, some of the same words. Jesus, you've been good to me. But he did it in a whole different way. He did it in a Paul Beasley way, and he made it fit just for the blind boy. So it was a great day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that's very much conveyed on the record as well. I mean, hands down, I can see why well, the world in general, but I can see also why the folks at the Recording Academy placed Echoes of the South as best roots gospel album this year. It just I don't think there was anything else that got more down to the root than you guys on that one.
Well, not only that, but Ben Moore was a great singer, baritone singer, lead singer, and he had a background of singing both R&B and gospel. And his daddy was a gospel singer out of Atlanta, Georgia, and with a group out of Atlanta called Echoes of Zion. And I knew the group well because by being here in the city. And but Jimmy Carter, Jimmy's one of a kind. He came in, he does what he does best, and that's sing gospel. He brought that blind voice to it. And got young guys, like Reverend Julius Love.
Speaking a little bit about Reverend Julius Love and his role in the album and how how much you appreciate him on this record.
Yeah, Reverend Jesus Love, he was from Gaston, Alabama, and he was one of the lead singers on the record. And it was a great song. Ben Moore, Reverend Jesus Love, Paul Beasley, Joey Williams, Jimmy Carter, myself. We were the primary singers on the record, and we had some great musicians. And one of which was my friend Phil Cook. Phil done some music with us on other records, and that stand-up bass player. I don't know. I hate to call people. I don't know by name, but and the drummer, they were outstanding. They helped to make this record what it is. And I would never ever thought that. Well, yeah, back in the early days, they had stand-up bass players that made it happen, and he took us back and gave it the flavor. The drummer, I thought I was playing for a minute, but anyway, they made it happen. They made it work.
Oh, that's wonderful. And one of the things that I actually found really interesting in Preston Lauterbach's book, maybe just if you could speak about this a little bit. He mentioned that the Blind Boys were one of the first groups to incorporate the guitar into their act and have that as a part of their playing. Now, like, because again, it seems like something that most groups would have a guitar, but was that uncommon at that time before that they had brought the guitar into their performances? Was that I'd love to if you could tell me a little bit about that.
Well, in the early days, a cappella was the sound. Even when you did Jubilee, a cappella was the sound. So
Mm.
when the Black Boys came out, they could sing a cappella when they were called the Happy Land Jubilee Singers. But when they became the Blind Boys of Alabama, George Scott, who was the tenor singer for the group, he was playing guitar. So George was playing that guitar, and it made a difference. And then the Nightingales, JoJo Watson, he was a guitar player, and the Dixie Hummingbirds, they had a guitar player, and so it became the gospel of that time.
Wow, huh, that's so interesting. I'd never really even thought about that before, that the use of the guitar was a brand new innovation at a certain point. It just seems like something that was always there. But that's an amazing there. But we're just about out of time, Ricky, and but I wanted to thank you again for being on the program with us at American Songster Radio. Thank you so much for being with us, and then also congratulations again on the wonderful Grammy Award for Roots Gospel album. It was much deserved, and may the Blind Boys of Alabama keep on making their way down that gospel highway.
I just want to say that thank you for allowing me to be here. I hope I've said something that made a lot of sense to somebody. But the main thing that we want you to know is that gospel music is here to stay. We're going to keep on singing. The Blind Boys been around for over 80 years. And the good thing about it is that they're still here. And we're going to keep on doing what we're doing, lifting up the name of the Lord and trying to make people feel good through our music. And we want to let you know, when you hear the Blind Boys, we don't come to preach to you, but we sure gonna sing to you. So don't miss it when the boys are back in town.
All right. When the boys are back in town, we ain't going to miss it at all. Thank you again. It's been such a pleasure, Ricky. And we'll have to catch you again next time around on American Songster Radio.
Thank you.
I want to thank Ricky McKinney for the wonderful conversation talking about the Blind Boys of Alabama and their journey down the gospel highway. Well, that wraps up our episode, the very first episode of Season 5 of American Songster Radio Show here on WSM in Nashville, Tennessee. You have a couple of final words to say, Vania?
Absolutely. One of my favorite drives along the southern part of the country was actually driving from Panama City Beach, Florida, all the way up through Alabama, making our way back to Nashville. And I would definitely encourage folks to take that trip. It's so beautiful as you start to drive through Alabama and get closer to the coast. You really get a chance to feel that Gulf of Mexico breeze coming up. And it's just such an amazing, pleasant drive, and one of my favorite road stops as well. So thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in to this episode, and can't wait to catch you all next time.
Yep, this is Dom and Vania signing off. Take care.